let's try this again. Yeah, this is bleh. I don't know, for some reason I remember this being bigger. Nope, that is not what I want to do. Why can't that leave? Nope. Oh well, I guess that's as good as it's gonna get. I gotta figure it out later. Demo screen. Yeah, that's as good as it's gonna get, y'all. My bad. Anyway, I know it's been a while. So anyway, hopefully everybody's well. I've been sitting here for a very, very long time. A very, 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 very long time today. I'm trying to pull together a very long time, an unreasonably long time today, trying to pull together what was going to be like the basis of what I wanted to talk with you about today, as there is so much. Hopefully, this is the first time I'm using StreamYard in a very, very long time. As some of you who've been with me for a very long time know, that StreamYard was giving me some problems. And, but, you know, at least ideally, I really do like the concept of being able to stream from more than one place at a time. The problem is that I, in some of my last StreamYard videos, I was getting a lot of like mess. Anyway, I won't go that long into it, but anyway, so hopefully everybody's well, and you know, in navigating, you know, the world of crazy, as it were. There's so much that I want to talk to you about, and even as much time as I have spent today trying to organize my thoughts and pull them into something that remotely resembles some kind of a rhythm, don't count on it. Don't count on it. So my name is Cassandra-Floyd, for those that don't know, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. And yeah, so today is November 1st. It's still November 1st. Today is my sister's birthday. My baby sister turned 48 today. And so I love that woman. And we don't get to rap often, but I love that woman. She lives in the Dominican Republic. And yeah, that's my boo. That's my heart. I love that woman. And so it's her birthday today, Erica Denise Larice. And today is also the 16th anniversary of the death of my first cousin, Michael DeAndre Miller. And it's interesting because I was going through my memories, my Facebook memories today. And, it's just amazing what comes through when you look through your memories. That was one of the things that was on my memories was my first cousin DeAndre's death. And it's crazy. I can't believe it was 16 years ago. It just unbelievable. And then so much more came through my memories today. And also you can see kind of repetitions of patterns when you go through your Facebook memories. It's one of the things that I still like about Facebook is it's like your own personal journal. And you can see very sometimes insanely eerie repetitions of patterns. So two things happened today. I woke up this morning thinking about a friend of mine. And opened my eyes and thought about this man. And a couple of hours later, went to go check my Facebook messages. And there was a message saying that you and Matthew have been friends for 9 years. I was like, whoa, okay, that's crazy. Right. And then something else. Oh, I was for the last 3 days straight. I've been thinking about for the last week today, last Saturday when I did that Sacred Sound conspiracy. From that day to this, I've been really meditating hard on the idea of genuine, true reciprocity being the thing that's going to save us, being the thing that's going to rescue us, being the true missing link that's going to change the game, right? Just really, really meditating. And I'm going to tell you a little later why last Saturday specifically got me on this deep dive about the question of reciprocity. And I checked my Facebook messages, and 12 years ago to the date, my post was thankful for the presence of reciprocity. I said, whoa, it's deep. And the problem, I think, for a lot of us is the busyness and the chaoticism of the world doesn't allow us anywhere near as much time as we deserve to sit with us, to sit with ourselves, to sit with our lives, to sit in retrospect, and to be able to use that in a way that helps us understand in our full power where we are in the moment and what we have the ability, the potential to do. So I think that might be the place that I start. Because the other thing that I am really, two things I'm going to really attempt to be deliberate about doing tonight is monitoring my mouth for a very specific reason, and my hype energy. I'm gonna try real hard not to get too turned up, and lastly, to not be on here too terribly long. Yeah, because there's a lot. So I will encourage you, first of all, if you look across the bottom of the screen, which is one of the reasons that I like the idea of StreamYard, is because it easily tells you all the ways that you can support my channel. Not only my channel, the work that this channel is allowing me to be able to do in terms of growing the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Those of you who are tuning in directly through YouTube, you also have the ability to like, share, and subscribe, which I will adamantly and vehemently encourage you to do. Share, 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 share. Okay, share my channel. And then also thanks and super chats and all of that other stuff. Okay, so I typically will be, live streaming via IG because I still get more live views via my IG than I do live on YouTube. But today I have some things I want to read to you, and the easiest way for me to do that, given that I'm still having some slowness trying to stream through StreamYard, is I'm going to be reading several things from my phone. Yes, several things from my phone. So we're just going to dive right in. I will tell you that you will need you will need pen and piece of paper. You're going to need to take notes. So today is the first day of November. And in this first day of November, which means that we are rapidly and radically approaching the end of this year. And I think what I am going to do is just start with the news of today before jumping into more profoundly deep things. Today is the first day that I have watched any kind of news headlines in about a week. I have so much going on that I couldn't spare a minute, a single minute on headlines, updates, anything. So today I only spent about 20 minutes looking at news headlines, and yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. And I want to say that the headline for this live is, can you really see? Can you really see? We're in Scorpio season. We're in Scorpio season in a time where Scorpio, right, ruled by the planet Pluto. Pluto is in the sign of Aquarius. Pluto just stationed direct a couple weeks ago in Aquarius. There are two planets retrograde right now in Pisces, Jupiter and Saturn. There's a lot happening within the context of us, the United States of America, remaining in this dance of Pluto in Aquarius until the year 2044. And the reason, one, I have to talk slowly is because I can already see the thing that we were having an issue with before. So I'm going to talk slowly and try to remain direct and focused. The reason that I will continue to bring your attention back to, draw your understanding back to, everything that is happening is still happening up underneath this massive, yes, it kicked off with as America's first Pluto returns, right? It is now on November 19th of last year. That transitional period of America's first Pluto return, which lasted 2 years, was completed with Pluto's official permanent transition into Aquarius until the year 2044. Okay? It's not the only big, long-standing astrological occurrence that is going to change everything, but this alignment, Pluto and Aquarius, is the governess of all other astronomical and astrological occurrences for the next 20 years. Okay? I have to remind you, and I will forever remind you of this, because when I tell you repeatedly, keep it simple. Keep it this. The more simple you keep it, the more clear you keep it, the more easily the revelations come. And this week, transitioning into Scorpio season has been magnanimous, to say the least. And keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it, make it clear. Make it plain. Do not, I'm telling you, man, I get it, but do not be too deep. Do not be too deep. You can be profound without being so deep that you are perceived as talking above people's heads, talking over people's heads. There is this fine dance that must be done within ourselves. This fine dance that must be done so that people can feel us when we speak, not just hear us, feel us when we speak, when we communicate with them. And I'm saying keep it simple and make it plain because I'm telling y'all, this last week that I've been up off of here has been so profound. So let's start with the news, and then we'll get into the profound events. Okay. So let's see what y'all talking about in the news these days. I want to start by talking about your president. Yeah, hold on. Let me figure out what's going on with these cats. The cats have become alive, and so now they got the zoomies, the little ones. And so now, as soon as I start talking, they want to start cutting up. So hold on, just a second. Girl, stop being mean to the cats. There they go. Where's your little baby cats? Oh my goodness! While I'm chastising the kitties, Mama won't give them no nip. That's why they over there cutting the clams. Look at the little baby cakes. Where's your little baby cakes? Oh my goodness. And look at that cute little, it's like this cute little pattern that all the striped ones have on their forehead. And guess what? Even the black ones have it if you look real close. He's like, I am not. Hey, little baby cakes. Hey, little cutie patootie. Oh, they so cute and squishy. And she can't stand it when I cuddle with them. I'm talking about Tempest. She's like, she be headbutting me and everything. Oh, look at that little cutie patootie self. Oh my gosh. Oh, cutie patooties. Oh, here's another one. Just little babies everywhere. Look at the little baby bellies. Oh my gosh. It's just babies everywhere. Babies everywhere. Oh my goodness. Little babies. 5. Oh, go back to business. 5 of them. Okay. Anyway. So let me tell you about the president. Okay. This is a good segue. I want to talk about your president. because I want to tell you the reason that this is entitled, Can You Really See? Hopefully, you guys can hear me well because I can already see the kind of slowness that is presenting itself through this StreamYard situation. The reason I'm calling this Can You Really See is because we're not even actually, in just a week, will be a full year into Trump's presidency. And I've heard just in the 20 minutes that I was researching news headlines today, three different YouTube creators refer to Trump as crazy, as mentally unwell, as unstable. I want to also forever remind you that you are not looking at a human being that is unwell, unstable, stupid, old, feeble-minded, all of those things, all of those tropes that they pull out to attempt to justify and make light of very radical, typically radically oppressive moves on behalf of the state. This is a great segue because I spent so much time over the last 24 hours looking into things that I didn't have any intention of. I actually started doing a deep dive on my name and my name in cinema, my name in film, and it sent me on another wormhole. And in this deep dive that I segued off of into this other thing, which I'm going to talk to y'all about, I feel like I'm sharp. I feel like in most cases, I'm ahead of the curve in understanding politically, in my ability to understand the more subtle and deeper and more hidden aspects of what is being presented politically in the world. I think typically I'm ahead of the curve. And even as ahead of the curve as I feel like I tend to be, over the last 24 hours, I have been dismayed and bewildered. Yes, I have. The depth, I want you to understand. I want you to understand your opposition. I want you to understand your opponent. I keep threatening it. But I have to find it because it's well hidden somewhere. I had it out front, but it was well hidden. Now it's well hidden. We have to do a a deep dive on a read and a deep dive. It might be a Zoom thing we do. But we have to get into the book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. These last 24 hours that I'm going to share with you, please stop falling for the obvious, because you can't even get deep until you stop falling for the very basic, superficial, kindergartenish tools that they use against you. You can't even get to the deeper ones that they done sprung on you because you still stuck up here thinking that what you see is actually what it is. Thinking that what you see is, you still think that what you see is actually what it is at its most basic and kindergartenish level. Stop calling the face of global power. Stop calling the face of global manipulation and domination feeble and not well and not right in the head, and stop doing that. You have done it with every single president except your beloved Negro. Stop doing that. You did it through 2 terms of Bush as he ushered in a new millennia of conquest. And you just kept getting stuck on his Southern accent and how, because you think that a Southern accent is synonymous with stupidity, and they count on you. They count on that in you. They count on your arrogance. They count on your arrogance to fall for the okie doke that a Southern accent is synonymous with a lack of intelligence. And a lack of intelligence is required in your mind for diabolatry, right? And because you think people with a Southern accent are stupid, the majority of people in this country do. And because you think that people with a Southern accent are stupid, they can walk you over a cliff. And all you'll say was, he was stupid, that's why he did it. He was feeble, that's why he did it. He was too old to be president, that's why he did what he did. Not that this was a collective, united, concerted effort to steal any remnants of power that you had left. It was a concerted and unified front on both sides of the aisle, using someone who was wildly unpopular and wildly polarizing. And even though he doesn't have a Southern accent, he may as well, because he feigns stupid very well. He feigns stupid. For people who don't know what feigns mean, he fakes stupid well. And so, because your ass don't understand the state, because your ass think that a democracy is synonymous with freedom and justice, because your ass believe hype, you would let this man walk you over a cliff. And those of you who didn't vote for him, he would still run y'all through a terror campaign off the same cliff as the people that voted for him. Because in your mind, the only thing wrong with America as of November 1st, 2025 is that Trump is in office. In your mind, those of you who did not vote for Trump, I voted right. Those of you who did not vote for Trump, in your mind, right now today, you have the basic Black, Latino, LGBTQIA voters who did, quote, vote the right way. Have them tell it. The only thing wrong with the America of today is the man that is the face of power in that White House right now. And I spent some time in my memories, my favorite memories today, posting videos from 3, 4, 5 years ago when y'all voted the right way and put Biden in office. And I posted video after video after video after video of Biden in all his outright in-your-face diabolatry. This ain't no shit I gotta make up. He said it out his own mouth. I posted like 3, 4 videos that was in my memories, reposted them, from when Biden was in office, from when Biden was running, from when Bernie was running. And y'all will still see them videos and think that the only thing wrong with America of today is that Trump is in office. To hear the malignant diabolatry exude from between the lips of Biden, and y'all will still think that the only thing wrong with America of today is that Donald Trump is in office. Then there are those of you who may be a little deeper in your political understanding, right? Because you are self-proclaimed socialists, or you are self-proclaimed communists, or anarchists, or whatever your bag is on any given day. Progressives, if you will, liberals, if you will. But you are so in that lane that you refuse to see the other forces at play, at work in your face. Because you, progressives, leftists, far leftists, antifas, socialists, anarchists, communists, whatever the fuck, y'all so in y'all bag that they know they can play in your face. Because you are so rigid, you will continue to refuse to see what they present right in front of your face. And because you who you is, you will refuse to see what they use as weapons against you, because you ain't, quote, into that woo-woo shit. You, quote, ain't into that astrology shit. You, quote, ain't with that spiritual shit. Okay. As they literally play in your face. Let me tell you an example of how they play in your face. Last Saturday, there are estimates of about 7 million Americans who took to the streets to protest against the, quote, Trump regime under the banner No King's Day. This being the third of such event. Okay. Some black commenters have I think it was, what's his name? What's that boy name? Can't even remember his name. He's a Jewish night show host or whatever. And he was like, I was looking at all the pictures from No King's Day, and I was like, where all the black people at? That's what the white boys say. That's what the Jewish boys say. He's like, where was all the black people at? Of the estimated 7 million people that took to the streets in the United States against this whole No King's Day. Okay. And the black man that he asked, somebody in political office, was like, well, the black people had a meeting. And we was like, we gonna sit this out. we gonna sit this one out, right? And the first thing that I did today, thinking about this No King's Day shenanigans, the in your face shenanigans, the very first thing I did, just a very quick Google search. Who is responsible? Who are the organizers of No King's Day? Who is behind it? Who behind it? And I asked that question literally about everything. I don't care how seemingly small it is. The first thing I'm doing is what it's about, who came up with it, where it came from, because that will tell me everything I need to know about the expectation of results. The reason I am saying this is because No King's Day, all it was, and I've been talking to y'all about this for some time, for 5 years easy. It is the state's ability to measure pressure and to be able to, at very key and pivotal moments, relieve the pressure valve just enough. Release the pressure valve by giving you the opportunity to take to the streets to get the links on just enough for you to feel valid. I did that. I was a part of that movement, right? And that becomes the thing that also allows for you to say, you don't have to do much more than that. I was at the demonstration. I was at King's Day, because you don't need to do nothing else. And it is able, the government, by allowing you, feeding you, giving you, creating very necessary temporary release valve of pressure, can monitor who was there, monitor their behavior, why they was there, to collect more data info on 7 million people who took to these streets to do exactly what? To accomplish exactly what, right? Now, the in your face shit that all you leftists and progressives and the like will ignore is that No King's Day, the 3 times that it has happened, right? Which was in, I think, March, June, and this past weekend, each time it coincided within 24 hours of a major astronomical and astrological event. Every single time. But you don't pay no attention to that woo-woo astrology shit. Meanwhile, No King's Day, 3 times in 1 year, all 3 corresponded with a major astrological occurrence. And so, who was it? Soros, I think. George Soros, who I'm going to be talking about today. Actually, it's a beautiful segue. George Soros, said that millionaires don't pay attention to astrology. Billionaires do. That's what he said. Millionaires don't pay attention to astrology. Billionaires do. Segueing into this section about why I'm talking about No King's Day. Why are they? Who came with that? Who came with that? There ain't no king in the United States of America. And I've been hearing people say that. There ain't no kings in the United States of America. What are you guys even talking about? Without getting an inkling deeper into why. Who the players who orchestrated these shenanigans called it No King's Day. They called it No King's Day because of who their president is. Donald John Trump, born on when this nigga birthday? Born on I wrote it down, didn't I? Did I write it down somewhere else? I did. Where I wrote it? Damn, why I do that? Here it is. Donald John Trump, born on June 14 of 1946 at 10:45 a.m., is a Gemini sun sign, a Leo ascendant, and a Sagittarius moon. He has become the 47th president in Pluto, America's first Pluto returns in a country whose natal chart is that it was born on July 4th of 1776. So that means that America as an entity, a Cancer sun, a Sagittarius ascendant, and an Aquarius moon. Hold on. What is your major malfunction? Damn it. What's your problem? Come on. All right, carrying on. Come on. Turkey. Ugh. Goddamn carrying on. Anyway. So Trump, they're equating Trump to a king, those who created these shenanigans, by the way, because his chart is the closest thing that can come to one who would himself as king of the empire. Not only that, Trump, I'm talking about his astrology. Trump, again, is the president. I know somebody gonna be mad, but I just want to reel y'all back to how preserves itself. The instrument that is the state, how it preserves itself. Trump became the 47th president of the United States, not because a bunch of white people voted for him, not because a bunch of Americans voted for him. The vote, I will continue to tell you, at best, is just a compilation of data that provides those who maintain control of the state the statistical analytical information that they need to understand better how to rule and govern you. That's all it does. The vote tells them how many people still believe in the shit. How many people believe the shit still works. What can we and can we not get away with based on the statistical analysis? Understand how many people voted last term that didn't vote this term? How does this teach us about the general feeling of Americans sitting in their confidence in the fallacy, in the make believe, in the story? And so a few days ago, not thinking that I was going to be talking about this, different, I looked up the etymology for the word vote. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But the etymology, when I tell you, I look up every etymology, not just of words, of everybody name, Man, me and you on the brink. Me, don't even come over here because you've been trying me all day. You gone about your life. If a name gets searched. Hmm. So let's talk about the etymology of the word vote. That's where we're gonna start. I'm gonna go back to this Trump thing, but walk with me. Let's go to the etymology of the word vote. Its oldest appearance in the human lexicon is Latin, and it is vovier or votum, which means a vow or to wish. It is the formal expression of one's wish or choice with regard to a proposal or candidate. The original, that's the current meaning. From the original etymological meaning, which is a vow, a wish, or a proposition to a god or one above you. That's your vote. That's what word to make a vow or a wish or a promise to a god, a solemn pledge or dedication to a god or one you view above you. That's what it is. And so y'all be looking at me side-eyed and crazy when I've been telling you for years now that America is a godhead created by the rulers of old who recognized the need for a scene change in this play. They, you know how in a play you have a scene, and then you have the curtain go down, and everybody gotta change their clothes and change their outfit and put on a new wig, put on new makeup because it might be some time that has lapsed in the scene change, or it might be one group over here and then another group is up. This play, and there was a period in time. Have you tell it probably around the time of the French Revolution that all of the brothers in this play recognized globally they were losing a grip on power in its current presentation. And so they devised a mutually agreed upon change of scene, change of outfit, change of characters with the same old conclusion to be come to be had. And so we can research etymology and it forever reveal to us what has happened to us if we care to watch, if we care to see, if we care to hear. That's vote. Okay. And in this etymology, vote, that you, as a matter of fact, let me bring up two more etymologies that I already got open. In this etymology, this word that you literally hold dear, baby, it says a vow, a solemn vow, a pledge, a promise, a wish to a god or one you deem above you. And what do black people say? Like a mantra every 4 years. Vote or die. Our ancestors died for the right to vote. You equate the struggles for freedom to the blood ritual self-sacrifice and martyrdom of ancestors to devote. They are not the same. I hope you're rocking with what I'm giving. To say these mantras every 4 years, typically as a weapon intended to bludgeon people over the head about how they vote, or God forbid. Then all of a sudden, like the knee-jerk automatons we have been crafted to be, we will say, you, what you mean? You don't vote. Our ancestors died for the right to vote. No, they didn't. Monitor your mouth. Your ancestors fought and died for freedom. And in different periods of that struggle for freedom, it presented itself in a different way, depending upon the period. The vote wasn't the guarantee of freedom. In that particular period of time, it was seen as a vehicle to wrangle political power. That's all. They died for freedom. They died for a vision of sovereignty and self-governance, self-determination. To do that, to have campaigns, vote or die, vote or die. I'm telling you, what I will forever tell you is, do not trust everything that is put forward as some popular campaign of resistance of the period. Nah. Segueing back to this madness that fortunately our folk did not en masse participate in on this last weekend, this No King's Day madness. I wanted to see who was behind it. Who was behind it? You feel me? Who was funding it? Who proposed it? Where it came from? Baby. So the main organizers was overall this organization called the 50-51 movement. 50, and then the one for 50 states, 50 protests, one movement. And isn't it revealing that you can't, because it's a decentralized movement, so therefore we can't really be putting no names out like that. That's on the website, because I'm trying to find out who y'all is. who the 50-50 movement, who the 50-51 is. You understand? That's what it is. Because we are a decentral movement, we can't be putting people's name up on here. You feel me? And there's a bunch of other orgs who have signed on to the 50-50 movement. I was like, all right, they decentralized. I know how you socialists and you communists love that word, decentralized leadership. Okay, fine. So who else are the big ones who have signed on to this 50-50 movement? The ACLU, an organization called Public Citizens. I ain't get into them deep, but I'm gonna tell you what I found out. At the American Federation of Teachers, that was a big one. It was listed as one of the top 3. The Service Employees International Union, and a bunch of other ones, right? And then where's that one at? Where is that? The Open Society Foundation. 2 of those alone. I didn't go through all these organizations. Didn't need to. Because anybody who thinks like me, and this ain't even me thinking deep, I just want to know who it is. Going through the first two organizations told me all that I needed to know about why. Not only was that some madness, I told you I'm trying to monitor my mouth today. Some madness, you feel me, Saturday. It isn't just madness. It was strategically. It was a strategic. It was a strategic chessboard play. This is the organization, the American Federation of Teachers. The American Federation of Teachers. I didn't go that deep into who the American Federation of Teachers was. I said, let me just start with who the president is. First origin is 51 because they didn't want to say who nobody was. So I said, okay, let me go to the American Federation of Teachers first. Seem benign enough, don't it? Seem benign enough. And everybody loves the ALU. Seem benign enough, don't it? The American Federation of Teachers is currently the president of this organization, who has signed on to as of the organizing event. The president, her name is Randi Weingarten. Her name is Randi Weingarten. She is the president of the American Federation of Teachers, based out of New York. It's a national organization, but it's based out of New York. Why is this important to know? Because even though she is a professed Democrat, these are quotes right from her wiki. She is a, quote, extremely devout practitioner of Judaism. She is a, quote, these are her quotes from articles. She is a, quote, long time critic of the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel. She considers herself a progressive Zionist, a practitioner of conservative Judaism. She has regularly endorsed Republican New York candidates, particularly Republican candidate Pataki, who is a devout practicing Catholic, who was the mayor after Bloomberg. And he said of Randi Weingarten, progressive Zionist, he said of her, everyone at the national level of government calls her the kingmaker, calls her the kingmaker. That if she endorses you, your candidacy is assured. This woman is over the American Federation of Teachers. What's it got to do with national politics and politicians, that they would unanimously call her the kingmaker? This friendly Democratic Zionist votes for an endorsed release. Fast forward a few years, during Trump's first term in office, what's his name? Mike Pompeo, who was appointed the director of the CIA during Trump's first term in office. And we've heard the stories about this dude that he is, right? But he was the director of the CIA under Trump's administration. And as the director of the CIA under Trump's first administration, this man declared in an article that Randy Weingarten, president of the American Federation of Teachers, is the most dangerous person in the world. That's what he said. That's a quote. That's a quote. That's a quote. That's a quote. Mike Pompeo, as corrupt and wishy-washy and flip-floppy as he was, he supports Trump, he don't support Trump. He supports Trump, he don't support Trump. That was his modus operandi, among other things. But this man, while he was the director of the CIA, said of Randy Weingarten, president of the American Federation of Teachers, that she was the most dangerous person in the world. He said in the world. He ain't saying the country. He ain't saying New York. He said in the world. This came up. All this came up in a minute of who was responsible for organizing this BS that y'all took to the street in the tune of 7 million people last week. Or week before last. Yeah, that's what he said. Then another big player. So here you got all these people out in the streets with no kings on their thing, Palestinian flags, all this flammy, wishy-washy, mixed messagey, no goals in a, no vision, no aim. Just out here because we don't want no kings. That's it. That's all. That's it. Guess what? One of the primary organizers of this event is a Zionist who has been out opposed to the idea of y'all boycotting and divesting and sanctioning Israel. Yep, same person. Not only her. The organization Open Society Foundation is the primary instrument through which the next organizer, if you will, funder at least, George Soros, has for a very long time funneled into very specific campaigns and movements that he supports, funds for very specific outcomes. So George Soros, this woman, Randy Weingarten. Why would you be funding something that's talking about no kings, that Randy Weingarten, when you, like a lot of what Trump be doing, you just philosophically would be on board with? Seen me? Seen me? Yeah. Seen to me. Now, Trump is the astrological king of the United States of America right now. Astrologically, he is the king of the United States. He is a Leo ascendant. Leo is the king, right? And he has this Gemini sun and this Sagittarius moon, right? Partnered with an America who has a Sagittarius ascendant. Why is this relevant? Because when I say they play in your face, y'all in a wormhole. Because let's go segue into the deeper shit. That's deep. We gonna go into the deeper shit. There is a YouTube channel I happened upon a couple of days ago and fell into yet another one. But this is what the weed press looks like. This YouTube channel is called The Lore Labyrinth. Lore Labyrinth. The Lore Labyrinth. I sat there one day and watched every single solitary video on this channel. I mean, every single one. Every single one. And the basis of the channel is to give you the background, the true background to what we have assumed were make-believe fairy tales, nursery rhymes, children's stories. So we have gotten a version of that back in the day. All the Disney movies that started out as, quote, stories by the Brothers Grimm, and that was our stopping point, and that they were all diabolical, and so Disney, when he bought them, he had to clean them up, or whatever, and that's where we stopped. This channel is like, no. The Brothers Grimm, who were propagandists of the German propagandists of the period, collected all of these folk tales, collected all of these stories, and then they own diabolical spin on the stories, right? The gruesome, diabolical fairy tale-esque, spins on the stories that had begun as what's the word I want to use? As like subversive, anti-establishment stories that the poor and oppressed would tell among each other. You hear me? That they would tell among each other to keep the oppressor off beat, off the track of what they talking about, y'all. For example, the piece on this channel that I saw first was on the little nursery rhyme, Baba Black Sheep. When I tell you I was up in here blowed, I wish I could show it to you. I got to get a better laptop or something so I can do all the cool shit like everybody else do. Show you little clips on the side without it dragging my shit. I can't even barely talk good without it dragging my shit. I can show clips and show you little pictures, but I got to do this ghetto style for the time being. Bye, Black Sheep. I want to make a plea right here before I say and to tell y'all about Black Sheep. My plea, my hope, my secret desire is that something that I say when I teach history the way that I do will strike like Sagittarius's mighty bow, mighty arrow, and pierce the heart of human beings who may have been born on this planet with white skin. Those of you born on this planet with white skin, hopefully you can receive the telling of your history in a way that pierces through the cancerous hardening that surrounds your heart and makes it so that you are permanently isolated from all of the creatures on earth. Because when I heard these stories on this channel, the Lore Labyrinth, of the real world incidences that gave rise to the modern nursery rhymes that we speak as a spell all the time into the brains of our little babies, I was moved. I was moved. I was moved. I was moved. The disappearing, the deliberate erasure of the majority of European history, retold, sold to the world, by the way, sold through the lens of the church, the aristocracy, and the nobility, has been a wicked and monstrous device. It has been a wicked and monstrous device, child, not only to those of us who were on the receiving end of Europe and European ideology spilling out on the rest of the world, but in order to create unquestioning, undying, enthusiastic participants in the plague that spilt out on the world from Europe. Europe had diabolical. Just when I think Europe cannot surprise me no more, child, I am surprised. For the better portion of 2,100 years, more modernly, if you will, 1,700 years this year, the place that we know collectively as Europe, those who crafted and shaped and gave birth to this monstrosity, baptized, shaped, molded, baptized in blood, and breathed air into this monstrosity known as Europe. And they did not do it alone. Oh no, they did not do it alone. Because contrary to what you heard, Europe was given birth to by a corrupted, triple-faced God. And this triple-faced, well, I say multi-faced God with 7 heads. Multi-faced God with 7 heads. Oh my God. Ooh. Because I just told y'all, we just spent all summer doing a global ritual called the Global Conspiracy to Right All Wrongs, right? Recognizing that on May 20th of 2025, it was the 1700 year anniversary of the First Council of Nicaea. And who was at the Council of Nicaea? It wasn't just white folks. 318 men behind closed doors for 3 months, charting, plotting not only the new world under a one world government, not only charting the new world, but rewriting history and, quote, reckoning time. That's what they did. They remapped the entire cosmos as we know it this year, 1700 years ago. Yes, they did. And when they did that, there was black-skinned men there at the Council of Nicaea. There was Ethiopian men there at the Council of Nicaea. There were Hebrew, aka Jewish men at the Council of Nicaea. There were Hindu and Asian men there at the Council of Nicaea, as they all agreed under this new face of the solar deity that we need to replicate what Rome right here is doing. That we finally have to excise anything that hints at feminine divinity from our books and our beliefs too. The Council of Nicaea concretized for the age the disappearance and murder of the complete excising of the collective memory of the divine feminine, the divine as feminine. And once the doors closed on the Council of Nicaea for them 3 months, that them men took all the sacred sciences, all the sacred arts, all the sacred languages behind closed doors to literally restructure the known world. And once the doors sprang open, the new world was established. Do you understand? And in the slow concretizing of this new world order, spearheaded by the bright white light of the children of Mars, known as Rome, eventually, just a couple of hundred years later, Europe would fall into what we categorize as the Dark Ages. And that's how I got on this thing about the lore labyrinth. We need to stop running away from these deep dives into the truth of European history, not as told by the nobility or the aristocracy, but by the people on the ground who had so horrifically terrorized so consistently for 2,000 years, well, let's say 700, but 17 years, that any memory of their customs had been successful. Anything that would have held them bound to the mother, anything that would have held them bound to land memory, anything that would have held them bound to cultural blood, clan memory, and reverence was successfully excised by brute, unadulterated, never seen before, grotesque monstrosities ordained by God. Because when I heard this, thank you for the donation, Claudia Ankra. When this woman told the real political origin story of Baba Black Sheep as a nursery rhyme of subterfuge, of rebellion and hatred for the nobility, yo, that might be a whole separate show I have to do. The story of Jack and the real life actual events that gave rise to the mythologized story of said event, metaphorized, anthropomorphized as Jack with some beans and a cow climbing up a beanstalk to rob a giant. Ooh. I was up in here hollering. See, this why I can't be on stream. Hollering. The story, child. The story of a little Red Riding Hood. Oh, just and the way the story changed when the aristocracy got wind of its true meaning, how they took the story, changed it at a very specific time in human history to pacify women. Because the original story, the one that did me, I'm telling you, my whole body is buzzing electric right now, just telling y'all. The one that did me most, because I just recently talked to y'all about this story from the understanding and perspective of the worldview that I had. When I was talking to you about the movie readaptation of the story of the Pied Piper, in the horror movie recently called Piper. Remember that live I did about 2 months ago on Piper? And how I was so mad about the movie, and how the movie was about people seeking absolution for some messed up stuff they did. I was sitting up in here watching the real, this one I'm going to tell you. Because I actually sat up in here and cried tears. Actual tears fell on my face as this AI woman told the actual events. No, it wasn't an AI woman. It was a regular woman. The actual historical events that gave rise to the, quote, mythologized version that we know as the Pied Piper. The reason I'm telling you this is because even though these stories are based on real, actual events, isn't it interesting how the lore of, quote, ancient mythology always raises its head in the retelling of every story through every generation over and over and over again? And so in the Pied Piper, super condensed version, because this feed is pissing me off. I'm not gonna be able to be here much longer. I might have to shut this off and just stream straight through YouTube because this is whack. As a matter of fact, let me try this, see if this will help. Hopefully none of y'all are viewing from Facebook. If you're viewing from Facebook, I'm about to X out of the Facebook feed. Did I fuck it up? think so. Then try to X out of Twitch one too, because I don't see any viewers on Twitch. Yes. Yes. Okay. I hope that will help. So, okay. Child, the Pied Piper. The Pied Piper. I'm telling you, go and watch this channel, because it's gonna have to come a time where um as um Temple of the Evolutionary Emergence. We're gonna have to, like, this thing that I've been talking about, like my love for like deep decoding of, modern entertainment, film, music, the like. It's for a reason. It's not just I enjoy doing it. It's because I'm attempting to retrain our brain so that we are able to not only see, but chart a new course. Once we're able to see the ways that ancient archetypal imagery is perpetually, consistently, and unendingly being used to manipulate our subconscious mind, our limbic system, okay? To corral us into doing shit that if our mind was our own, we would otherwise not do. That's what it's there for. That's the only purpose that it serves. So, okay. So anyway, the short version, super short version of the Pied Piper is that there was a period in Germany, as rest where the church would really like, or yeah, the church would regularly quote gift land, parcel land, or even towns to different nobility to like barter deals, like to barter deals, broker deals, right? And so it was not uncommon for a whole town to be gifted or sold to a noble or to a king or whatever without the townspeople even knowing. And another thing, apparently, that was very common in the period of Europe was that if said noble was given possession of said town, that it would make the declaration from where he was, no matter how far away he was, of the installation of taxes on said town, and then not relay the message to the said town. Therefore, said message not being transmitted, taxes begin to build as debt owed, back taxes. Sound deliberate, don't it? Sound deliberate, don't it? That you seize possession over a new town and just conveniently not tell the townspeople that they have a new governor or a new ruler and who has imposed new taxes until the tax debt builds up to such a degree that the only collateral that you have is your young children who said nobility can work who preferred young children because they could work longer for longer stretches of time. And this was happening all over Europe, where this particular town in Germany was not informed for some time that that possession of the town had changed hands and that there had been an imposition of a tax until the day that the noble sent military to the town to reconcile the debt. And when the townspeople did not have anything of collateral value to pay this imposed debt, this king's military stole 325 children from this village, sold to slavery, and never returned. The storyteller, she was giving much more specific details, names and all this stuff. She said the collective trauma of the villagers to not retrieve their 325 babies, man. To not retrieve their babies was a collective trauma so deep. She says that in the town, when I tell you my whole fucking body is buzzing right now, that there is a monument in the town today, right now today, of this story, marking the day that every child in this town had been kidnapped by law. Had been kidnapped by law, by declaration of the king, under the protection of the church, that it was law to steal your children in payment for a debt. It was law. It was seen as good and fair under the great Christian God, under the church. This story that we have told a million times and in fucked up ways, because the piper, listen to what I'm telling y'all, the piper was not some talented artist who came in to solve a problem for the people, and after he did the job, they refused to pay the debt that they owed. That's not the story. The piper, in this sleight of hand way that we have carried this story for several hundred years, no matter where we are on earth, the piper was the fucking state. The piper wasn't just the state. The piper was the state. The piper, baby. Let me tell y'all about this story. Remember how I was telling y'all a couple of weeks ago that I was talking, maybe I was reading cards for y'all or whatever, and I was saying, pretend it's my magic wand, the wands I be making for y'all. And I say, I put a lot of juju in the wand. You feel me? When I make the wand, I be singing. When I make the wands, I be chanting, reciting incantations. When I make your wand, be putting blinged out jewels and stones and animal parts and feathers on your jam. But as long as that magic wand sit there without you touching it, it ain't gonna do shit. It'll be there pretty. You'll send out some good vibes from the stones, but it is not going to get up and produce anything for you. You feel me? Why is this such a great metaphor? Because whether it's the wand or whether it's the pipes in our deck, the pipes, that the pan plays. That flute ain't gonna play itself. And in this metaphor, because it's not just the state. Today, in this metaphor, it's not just ice. Y'all, ice is the wand. Ice is the instrument. Ice is the flute. Ice is the pipe, bitch. And the pipe ain't gonna make a move without the energy of the holder of the instrument. That is the state. That's the state. The state is not them soldiers that was sent to the village to kidnap them babies. The state was power personified and focused through these mindless, brainless, heartless, void instruments, just doing what they was told to do. Just, quote, obeying the law. Just, quote, doing their job. Just, quote, all I can do is what my boss tell me to do. All I can do is what the president tell me to do. All I can do. Literally functioning like brainless, heartless, lifeless, faceless, nameless, hollow instruments through which the Godhead can wield its ambitions. And so these men marched on the village and stole these babies from this little German town. And the reason that this story and this woman blowing my mind, because I'm telling you the state is wicked. Because we have sang the songs, child. We have read the images. We have watched the images of the sacred holding the flute, of the sacred and the mystical holding the pipe, of the sacred and the mystical wielding the wand. And relating to that, we sang the song. What's that song by Led Zeppelin that I love so much? Stairway to Heaven. There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold. Oh my God. And she's buying a stairway to heaven. Oof. When she gets there, she knows. And the stores are all closed. In a word, she can't get what she came for. And have our same bosses, our same rulers, two-handed, two-faced trickster jesters play in our face all these years and tell us that song, Stairway to Heaven, is about devil worship. It's about the occult and witchcraft and shit. And then there's a verse in the song where it's about like, what does it say? And the piper is calling you to join him. And he's buying the Stairway to Heaven, right? And it's the occult in the Illuminati, and it's the devil chipping play in your face. Using your iconography to play in your face. Why can I say this? Because as much as I love Led Zeppelin, I am convinced, y'all, I've been up in here in a way for a week. Listening to some of my favorite musicians, listening to that song by The Doors. How does that song go? Uh, oh, I remember. This happened this week, y'all. When I tell you that they've been on us, they've been on us. Crystal shit. I just listened to it while I was doing something else. I have heard this song a million times. I've been obsessed with the Doors since I was 11 years old. And baby, I heard this song just in the background. Well, something else. It was he was just speaking through me like snap. Listen to you. The first lyric. The crystal sheet. Ooh, damn it. Let me see if I can Google the lyrics right quick. I'm telling you, I was up in here in a way. Because whether it's Led Zeppelin, whether it's the Doors, I'm telling y'all the whole conspiracy theory about the Laurel Canyon musicians who had CIA agent mamas and daddies, and they became the faces of the movement. And then I'm into some music from the 60s. I think it was. No, it wasn't. What was it? Was it This Is the End? I'm gonna tell y'all these lyrics because between that Led Zeppelin song, where they know, because Led Zeppelin was huge into the occult. Not only were they huge into the occult, they were avid devotees of Aleister Crowley. Not only were they avid devotees of Aleister Crowley, Jimmy Page bought Aleister Crowley's home and lived in it. What did I tell y'all about Aleister Crowley? That before he quote had his epiphany in Egypt and he became the member of these two secret societies, he was a paid agent of the British government. He was and they still herald him. They still herald him as the beast with the number 666 on his head. He was the state invading spaces where mother was able to slur her head and peek out on somebody. You see, this is what. Ooh, cha 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 cha. Um, man, I'm gonna log off for this StreamYard. This is not good. No, this isn't it. What the hell was I listening to? Shit. They just did. I really wanted to go. They just did a tribute to the Doors day before yesterday. I really wanted to go, and Robbie Krieger plays here a lot. He does tributes a lot, but he did a really big one. And Perry Farrell from Jane's Addiction. There was a bunch of people like sitting in with Robbie Krieger to sing the Doors song. I really wanted to go. I'll be honest, I really wanted to go. But especially since I was on this thing with this song that came through. I can't remember. No, it wasn't Riders on the Storm. It was one of the Before You Slip Into Unconsciousness. That's not it. I like to. To the end. It wasn't that either. Damn, man. Wasn't that either. Damn, man. Bullshit. Man, it hit me so hard. Uh-uh. Well. Damn. I'm gonna have to figure it out. Cause I was on one. But anyway. And I got is because like it's everywhere. It's everywhere, man. Of the story of the Pied Piper and how the pipe, because we love that story the way it was told to us by the state. We love that story. Like it's terrible what to them kids. When people do that stuff, and we think that the people are the bad guys in this story. The people, the villagers, was the bad guys. Why y'all hired man to do this job for y'all, and then he do it, and then y'all decide y'all don't want to pay? Like where they do that at? And so we, being the victims of capital, we identify with this sleight of hand ass story about this being some old typical white people. Why people do it like that? You feel me? Why they just man? Not that this period in Germany, in Europe, these people was more than likely poor, literally living from hand to mouth. You feel me? And that the people in this story were victims. The people in this story were the victims of a Godhead. I have to get off this StreamYard. This shit is stupid as fuck. Were the victims of a Godhead wielding power of armed, militant, brainless automatons, like in the Nutcracker. You understand? That the Godhead, who was the representatives of the Godhead? Who was it that was responsible for telling everybody else who God was, what God said they must do? Men in dresses. That's it. Men in dresses. An entire continent reduced, hogtied them, held them captive in the Dark Ages, which lasted, how long? Dark Ages lasted from the 5th century to was it the century or the 9th century? I think shit was the 9th, the 10th, from the, I'm lying, from the 5th century to the 10th century. Man, listen, the story of Hansel and Gretel that we've had retold as horror movies, that we've had retold as quote ha ha funny movies, the gruesome actual real life story, y'all, of Hansel and Gretel is shocking. 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 'Cause, 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 'c I'm telling you stories because they're related to today. They are related to today. I'm gonna tell you what we need. I talked to y'all about this before, but now I recognize this full circle. Why we need what we need. Why we need what we need. Because when we watch movies like The Witcher or The Wheel of Time or any of those kind of like that kind of fantasy, what's the other one? The Game of Thrones, what's the other? All them kind of like the Lord of the Rings, like that kind of shit, where it is implied that these are periods of time where the average everyday regular person did not read or write. And so how news was communicated, how stories of what was happening at other places in the world were transferred from person to person was through the bard, was through an African tradition, the griot, was the gesture, was what's the other one? The, you know what I'm saying? Any of those, right? It's the bard. He is the keeper of those stories. Not only keeper in The Witcher, the funny guy that's the bard, all his job is, y'all, is to be, y'all remember that story about Don Quixote, right? And Don Quixote, where his homie, his sidekick, wouldn't even be what name powers. He even important character. That was the man. And Don Quixote is like, look at the dragon. He see a windmill. His homie's like, yo, you sure that's a dragon? Like, not trying to rain on his parade and nothing, but like, yo, you sure that's a dragon? He's like, it's a dragon that we must pursue and be victorious. And then he write the story. He's like, yeah, Don Quixote, man, he slayed that dragon. That shit was crazy, right? In this story, The Witcher, the bard, not only he is an integral character, because without the traveling bard, the bard that literally never leaves the Witcher's side. The Witcher is doing all kind of crazy shit. He's slaying dragons. He killing all kind of monsters, like actual monsters. I got a story about that. It might be a digression for another day. But he killing all the monsters. He doing all the things. He's in battles, war the entire time. All the bard does is on the spot write songs and play songs about what he witnesses so that he can spread the word through the land on how people can hire the Witcher to come and solve their monster problem. Shit couldn't go viral without the bard. Nobody would even know who the Witcher was without the bard. Do you understand? But in this world where our bards, where our storytellers, our griots, the keepers of the sacred stories have been reduced to poor starving artists who just make music. That ain't real. That ain't a real job. That ain't real work. They just paint. That ain't real work. That's just a hobby. They just write. They just write poetry. That ain't real work. Because they know, even though we have not internalized that the bard is sacred, the storyteller is sacred. There is a way through metaphor, through toward storytelling, through anthropomorphization, through giving hyper personifying characteristics on real life events. That the story can be kept and can from the master, from the boss, from the evil doer that oppresses us all. Here, he done took our shit and flipped the script. Hide in plain sight. But his intentions are for us. to make a mockery of this most sacred and oldest form of communication on the planet. To change every story told as a secret of rebellion by its people, and retell every single nursery rhyme we have ever heard or sang to our own children into something that supports our submission, that supports our compliance, that supports and upholds as necessary for life or complicity in the suffering of others. Did you know? Go to Lore Labyrinth. This is my new favorite channel. That the story that we had been told about the origin of Ring Around the Rosie is wrong. That we was told that Ring Around the Rosie, Pocket Full of Posies, was about how nasty and dirty Europe was at the time of the Black Death, the bubonic plague, as they was literally dropping dead, and they had to put flowers in their pockets to hide the stench. Every single thing about that story is false. And as a matter of fact, she named the man who in the 1960s changed the story from its original version. Y'all have seen, even in The Witcher and so many other movies, so many, Pan's Labyrinth, she's in the Pan's Labyrinth, she's in The Witcher, there's all kind of horror movies made about her. The Baba Yaga, right? She is supposedly this terrible old rickety witch, just so scary and ugly, right? The Baba Yaga. And she lives in a house in the woods that's elevated high up on stilts that look like chicken legs, and the house can move to and from. The Baba Yaga. And how the Baba Yaga is a very old mythology about the crone in Nordic tradition. But this particular story, Hansel and Gretel, of how the Baba Yaga had been transformed during this period in I forget which country in Europe, but for 3 years, yes, Portuguese in Portugal. There was a famine that affected a lot of Europe, but Portugal took the hit, the hardest hit. A famine that lasted 2 years, 1315 to 1317. Okay, and in Great Famine, the nobility, they didn't starve. You feel me? They made sure to get all the stores that they would need of grain, and put it in these granaries that they then had the people hoist up on stilts, these big ass grain houses, where they would pile up, fill up with grain. And initially it was to keep the rats out. But once the famine began, they had them under, armed security, so the people couldn't get to the grain to feed themselves. And then to keep the people away from the granaries, from trying to shimmy up the stilts and shit, they started telling stories about how the houses on stilts were the home of the Baba Yaga, that she was the keeper of the grains, of the flour, you feel me? And that the flour was that if she caught you fucking with her grain, she was gonna, because she loved to eat children, and so she was gonna kill the children and grind their bones up to use for flour. this story is how the Baba Yaga became this terrible, scary, nasty, drooly, terrible thing in the more modern period of, again, taking ancient European people's iconography of the goddess in her different phases and transforming it into something evil and ugly and diabolical and scary that loves to feast on children. It came at the same time that the story Hansel and Gretel came from the same period, this great famine, where the famine was so swift and severe that it was defined by mass cannibalism. And the story initially was told about a mother and a father whose children had become weak from starvation, and in their desperation, so that they would not be tempted to, quote, eat their children, they sent their children off into the forest by themselves. But in actuality, the evil witch in the woods who wanted to fatten them up with the gingerbread house and all of that, in actuality, this was a way to reconcile the fact that the witch in the woods was the actual parents. You feel me? Talking about this story that was replete through this 3-year period of time where people, man, listen, the stories, accounts, the actual written accounts that this woman was talking about of mass cannibalism. Mass cannibalism through imposed starvation, because meanwhile, there was enough stores of grain to feed everyone, but only the nobility was allowed access. You understand? And so in this period of the Great Famine, the most vulnerable, the most likely to not live through the famine were the ones that they said, okay, we got to eat. And so it was the elderly and it was the young, it was children. And so it's interesting because the story about Hansel and Gretel, right? This story of Hansel and Gretel was a couple hundred years later by the Brothers Grimm. Several hundred years later, 1800s, I think, captured by the Brothers Grimm. And in their retelling of the story, this period of the church was really trying to consolidate this kind of docile mother image, love nothing more, being a mother would do anything for children. They were really trying to consolidate the image. Don't you do it again, get off me. Was trying to really consolidate the image of the mother because of what was happening as slow rebellion on the ground. So they were really trying to like draw the women back in. And because when we hear the story of the, quote, the dad who remarries, right? And it's an evil stepmother who's like, we can't afford to feed these kids, send these kids out to the woods. You feel me? Listen, she says that the concept of a, quote, stepmother, like a stepmother, came from the Brothers Grimm rewriting Hansel and Gretel. In history, the idea of calling one a, quote, stepmother came from them having to reconcile the church, trying to consolidate the image of the mother as sacred or whatever. They had to find somebody that was her antithesis, the evil stepmother. So That's why the evil stepmother exists in damn near every single solitary one of these got Brothers Grimm tellings. But the concept of a stepmother in society came from the retelling of these stories by the Brothers Grimm. I was up in here blowed. I was up in here blowed. But the reason, okay, I was up in here blowed, that they didn't call another mom. Like if your dad remarried, they didn't call her stepmom. It's just another mom. The idea of the stepmom came from the Brothers Grimm. I said, talk about these two men, the Brothers Grimm, were propagandists for the state. They were propagandists. They weren't the only ones, but they were most notorious for taking like the pet. God damn it, man! Taking the poor people's stories and transforming them to serve the state. They were propagandists for the state. And so the versions of the stories that we have received all this time. And so what does that mean? We know it, but we don't know the depth of it. Because if they was propagandists, right? And the guy that wrote was a propagandist, and so on and so on. Then what does it mean? Walt Disney was a propagandist, right? But now the historical context, almost every last one of these quote fairy tales and these nursery rhymes have an actual, based on actual historical events, origin. And typically those stories of origins were the subversive ways that the oppressed were trying to transmit and transfer messages to one another, or tell the story of their suffering through a way that could not get them killed by the state. I want to go on and on and on, but I'm telling you this today, right today, listening to this it's never so clear. It's never been so clear. I was watching this guest me watching, because this is so frustrating. I might just need to, I might do that. I don't want to though. Shit. I just want the shit to work. I've been watching Sabrina, New Adventures of Sabrina the Witch, and see that I have now watched 4 times since last week. Let me just tell you something about how they play in your face. I'm always telling you, especially these movies that y'all love so much about witches and wizards and magic and mystery and all of that. Baby, the state hates you. And while they hate you, they will still take your money and give you what you want, because they know you can't see shit anyway. I'm watching the 2nd season, episode 6. First of all, the whole show has got me in my feelings in a myriad of ways. Okay? But baby, because up until this moment, you're just learning about Sabrina's life, the complicated life of a child who is split between 2 worlds. Her mother was a powerless mortal. Her father was the most powerful wizard. He was the high they could. You understand? He was 1 seat below the anti-pope. Okay? In Rome. And so here she is, split between 2 worlds, wanting to go to school with her mortal friends and being forced, because she now about to turn 16 and she's supposed to sign her name in the Book of Shadows to become a fully committed devotee of the Lord of Shadows. You feel me? I mean, the Dark Lord in his book of shadows, but she like, I don't want to, and I shouldn't have to because I'm part mortal or whatever. So all this time you're learning about the complexities of her having to go to witching school part-time and go to her human school, and all the little ways that her and her magic be getting her in and out of trouble while she's trying to figure out who she really is. You feel me? Baby, she is, quote, given a fairy godmother in the form of her favorite, what she thinks in the beginning is her favorite mortal teacher. She does not know that an evil demon succubus has killed her mortal teacher and is living in her skin, is using her skin as a disguise to get close to her, because the evil demon succubus is the right-hand man, if you will, of the Dark Lord. Who is the evil demon succubus looking to betray and like swindle Sabrina into doing dark magic? The goddess Lilith. The goddess Lilith is the evil, demonic, bad guy succubus looking to sway Sabrina into the way of the dark in service of the Dark Lord. Who is the Dark Lord that Lilith is beholden to? Lucifer himself. And so all this time, you're going through, she trying to help her friends and use magic to help her friends without her friends knowing she using magic. You know, stereotypical teenage, you know, y'all better cut it out. Trying to, navigate the complexities. In her witching school, all the witches in the witching school hate her because she's half mortal. So they think her daddy was a sellout. Hold on, because you need to go outside. You pissed me the fuck off. Major malfunction. No. You trying to go outside too? Because you can go. No. Ugh. So listen now. All the kids in the wizarding school except one hate her, give her a hard time, always giving her a hard time because they can't trust her because she had a sellout daddy who married a powerless mortal whoop-de-whoop. Poor little Sabrina, okay? Poor little magical girl who with blonde hair and blue eyes, and she split between these two worlds. I want y'all to walk with me because this show got me in my feelings. In her mortal world, her best friend is a black girl. Okay. In the witching world, her arch nemesis is a black girl. The black girl that's her best friend in the mortal world confides in her one day that she gets premonitions. She can see shit. She is seer. She got to put hands on. She put her hands on it to see some things. Lo and behold, her grandmama tell her one day, black girl. Her grandmama tell her one day, baby, I got something I got to tell you because my time is short. Every woman in our line, every woman in your mama line eventually goes blind. Her grandmother's blind. Every woman in our line eventually goes blind. And the moment, and we'll know it's coming because our power will begin to start. We'll begin to see premonitions. We'll begin to see glimpses of the future, and they'll get stronger and stronger and clearer and clearer. And when we reach this particular point in our adolescence, and our power is at its peak, as our power peaks, we go blind. The third and we lose our sight. And the reason why is because our family was cursed to blindness by witches because of some something that they did against the witches, and the witch cursed their family for every female in the family. So her best mortal friend can see the future and is about to go blind. Her arch nemesis, you guys, is part of a trio that everyone in the school calls the Weird Sisters. The Weird Sisters. They don't even hide it. Who are the Weird Sisters? The Moray, the Fates, the Weavers of Human Destiny. The Weird Sisters are these three girls. One is white with red hair. One is a black girl with white hair. And one is like Asianish with jet black hair. When I say in your face play, the black girl is the leader of the three Weird Sisters. Okay? And the three of them are the stereotypical bitches you love to hate. Like in any stereotypical teenage high school movie, they're the cliques. They're the cheerleaders. They're the bitches you love to hate. The entitled. We're the real bitches. And so every moment of their life is set on sabotaging. Poor innocent. Blonde hair, blue-eyed, split between two worlds supreme. So on her right side is the black best girlfriend who sees the future and hates witches because her family was cursed by witches. On her left side is the chief witch of the Weird Sisters, who, when they put their hands together, their individual powers are intensified. Now, Sabrina, trying to figure out what's the angle. Feel me? A lot. You episode 6. These 4 young white teenage kids come to town proclaiming that they are missionaries, going door to door to teach people about Jesus. And these 4 white kids done spread all over town to go knocking on doors to teach this little town about Jesus. Without giving it, well, I'm gonna give everything away. Fuck it. These quote 4 white teenage kids that just want to go door to door and teach people about Jesus because they good missionaries. They are angels sent to this town to wipe the town of all the witches that exist in this town. But before they kill the witches, they are going to give the witches the opportunity to give their life to their Lord Jesus Christ. I'm not making it. I'm telling you word for word. And so a lot happens. But now they know that there are 4, at least they think they just witch hunters. They know there are 4 witch hunters running around town trying to slay witches. So now they're trying to consolidate everybody because they know that the four witch hunters is about to go to the school so they can kill all the kid witches in the school. So they get 2 of them get to the school. They killed a witch, and in killing this witch, they were able to get into the school because they cut the child's hands off because only the hand of a witch can access to the school. So they cut the child's hands off, use his hand to get to the school. Okay, these kids, by the way, these kids. So they get into the school and they have a contest with the three weird sisters. Okay, and the underlying message is that the power of our God is greater than you three witches' power, because the three weird sisters, who are the most powerful witches in the school except the administration, when they put their hands together, it intensifies their power collectively. They are trying to stage a contest with these two witch hunters that they do not yet know are angels, right? And then two angels put their hands together, and they praying to God, and a white light appears up above them and able to do the fates. These three weird sisters, these two angels, witch hunters, are able to subdue the fates. Next scene, they have these three girls up on pyres, like a pole, like an old school witch burning pyre, like a pole. They bound behind their back, gagged on these pyres, and sitting on the floor in front of them. So they all Jesus, and the two people on the cross beside him, and below them are all the kids in the school bound and gagged. And one by one, this boy walks to them and says, I want to give you the opportunity to give your heart to Jesus before we purge your sins in the divine fire of God. That's what he said. So the first girl was like, I ain't doing it. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? She said, I ain't gonna betray the Dark Lord. And he takes a knife and he cuts her throat, leaves her on the floor. So now the other witches are like, whoa, this is crazy. So he moves on to the next kid, right? Cuts his throat. Meanwhile, Sabrina finds out what has happened, and she's like, I gotta go help these kids, right? I gotta go help these witches. She has came up through some things on a power source that is really powerful, that's really deep, and people are like, damn, how's she doing that shit, right? But she then came up on some juju, and so she goes by herself to try to go help the witches. She walks into this place, right? Sees what's happening. The two angels face her, and she was like, you need to let my friends go. And they're like, Sabrina, we've been looking for you all day. And so the girl witch hunter circles behind her. Sabrina don't see her because she's trying to cast, right? She's trying to make some things happen. So the girl witch hunter rolls up behind her and puts a golden thorn on her head. Ooh, this shit is fucking ridiculous. Puts a golden crown of thorns on her head to bind her powers so she can't spellcast. As the girl puts the crown of thorns on Sabrina's head to bind her powers, he takes an arrow and shoots her right in the side where Jesus was pierced with the spear. Then he shoots another arrow and gets her in the heart. She falls dead on the floor. She falls dead on the floor, bleeding out and everything. So now the witches are like, we screwed. They about to kill us all, right? And so he proceeds to go one by one, telling these witches, I'm gonna kill you, but at least I want to save your soul too. I want to teach you how to give your life to Jesus. As he's doing this, the wind starts blowing. They in a church. Wind starts blowing in the church. They both turn around from what they're doing, and Sabrina is floating in the air, full on floating in the air with arrows in a gullet and in a heart, and this crown of thorns on, and she's bleeding from the crown of thorns, and her eyes are starch white, and she's floating. And so the two angels is freaking out. They're like, who are you? What are you? Right? And she says to them, I'm about to quote word for word what this girl in this scene said, and why I have watched this episode 4 times since last week. This girl, while floating in the air and her white eyes, says, I am going to give you two the opportunity to save your soul. I'm going to give you one chance and one chance only to walk out of here alive. She said, fall on your knees. These two angels fell on their knees. Now I want you both to repeat after me. I hear now. Open my heart to the dark Lord Lucifer. I give my life, my mind, and my body to Satan. Blah, 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 blah. They repeat word for word what this girl says. Then the boy, looking horrified, the boy angel, who are you? Who are you? She says, I am the Dark Lord's sword. And as her hand, and it looks like her arms are on fire. And she takes her on fire hands in like two balls of fire and incinerates the two angels there on the spot. The two kids, the two witches that them angels killed, the two witches that were sitting on the floor, bleeding out from wounds to the neck. She looks to one. She says, rise, sister. And the girl gullet mends, and she sits up. Rise, brother. His ass resurrects. She frees all the witches and then passes into a coma, blacks out. Don't remember nothing, right? Now, let me just tell you about this scene. Because in, the little scenes afterwards, this apex moment where her power is consolidated. Her power that had been growing is now firmly consolidated. And you are made aware of what her true purpose and destiny was. One of the kids tells her, one of the witches tells her, or somehow she finds out that she's been being manipulated by, quote, Lilith, the evil demon who is possessing the body of her favorite teacher, who has been leading her, telling her how to solve all of her friends' problems over this period of time. Each problem that she is helping solve for her friend is, quote, a perversion that she must perform of each one of the miracles Christ performed. So her blind friend, when she became blind, she gave her friend backside. And on and on and on and on and on, until she, quote, performed a perversion of all of the miracles performed by Christ. I said, isn't that about a bitch? That all of the miracles stolen by Christ from the iconography and stories of the mother, now fed to us for a couple thousand years as the true miracles and evidence that Christ was the true Messiah, in a story about a girl who has, as a dark witch in league with the devil, has to perform the perversion of the miracles of Christ in order to become her fully embodied and powerful self. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's so much more. There's so much more. There's so much more. For example, remember I was talking to y'all about my opposition to Satanism, and one of you sisters had in my comment section was talking about how the tenets of the Satanic Church online. You was like, damn, those are really good. Those are really good. Those are really good. I was like, yeah, they're really good. They're really good. I've read the Necronomicon. Really good. I said, but every incarnation of the Church of Satan, the Satanic Temple, and it's never been as clear as it is in this show. That here you got a town full of witch hunters, right? And then on the other side, you got all these covens of witches hiding in plain sight, right? From the powerless witch hunters, the powerful are hiding in plain sight. And in the witching world, the misogyny and the patriarchy is more consolidated and more rigorous than even in the mortal world. Child, I'm telling y'all. So let's go back to current events. I was watching this video of this guy, what's his name? Nick Fuentes. Somebody was talking about, I guess, some new dumbass thing. He didn't say it. It's so amazing. It's so amazing what he is allowed to get away with, but I'm going to tell you why he's able to get away with it. So amazing what he is allowed to vagrantly get away with. No filter, no censor, no need for him to self-censor. He said, where did I write that? This is a quote from Nick Fuentes. And it was so oddly specific because everybody's talking about CK's wife and some new controversy about her. I just heard about it a little bit ago. But some new controversy about her and Vance, JD Vance, right? And in response to the Erica Kirk and JD Vance controversy of the last 48 hours, Nick Fuentes says, I don't know how many ways I got to keep telling y'all. Yeah, okay, so she's on the right, but still, I'm of the personal position that we need to go back to, this is a quote, we need to go back to the witch hunts. We need to go back, this is what he said, word for word. We need to go back to burning women alive. He said women. We need to go back to burning women alive. He said, because during the witch hunts, when we were burning women regularly, we didn't have anywhere near as many of these problems as we have today. He said, if you had me, we'd go even further back than the Salem witch trials. We would go, he was oddly specific. He said, we should go back, hell, have me tell it, we should go back to the year 1099. We should go back to the Middle Ages. That's what he said. So I was like, that's really very, very specific. 1099? I said, what happened in 1099? Well, he's talking about we need to burn women in the year 10. My phone is acting janky too. The launching of the first Crusades happened in 1099, and also, if my phone would act right, the siege of Jerusalem, which marked the successful end of the first Crusades. Y'all too bad. Piss me off. Turkey. Oh. So, the siege of Jerusalem. Trying to read y'all comments. Siege of Jerusalem, which marked the end of the First Crusade, which also was launched in 1099. Mm-hmm. And the objective was the recovery of the city of Jerusalem and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre from Islamic control. From Islamic control. Yeah. And so what they call the Crusades, basically the impact of the First Crusade was so far reaching that it essentially was a world war, because it impacted Africa, the Middle East, it involved the Turks, the Muslim world, all of Europe, and the seizing of Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. I was like, that's oddly specific that he would just come out of nowhere and say, let's go back to 1099. Oh my God. So I won't be doing this again. Always got to be one. What in the world is going on? I don't know how that's going. Let's see. That was the other thing that was always yeah. Oh Lord. What in the, oh, this is annoying. Damn it. All right, let's see here. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna have to get off here anyway. Probably not. But now I got like 6 cats looking at me crazy. They trying to eat again. So I'm up, they up, and they like, if we up, we just want to eat. So they all bump. Child, they all at my feet. Um, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was the other thing about live stream, about a StreamYard, is it's like straight to my YouTube channel. First, I think it might be my settings in YouTube. I don't get many trolls. I don't get many trolls on my YouTube channel anymore. But I can't filter it as well this way. So I do remember that was something that was happening pretty often through StreamYard. I wish it worked. It might just be my laptop, but even the way I'm having to talk to try to, I could have said a lot more if I'd have been able to talk freely, trying to compensate for the slowing in the feed. But there are a couple more things I want to try to say. Yeah, so much more that I wanted to say, but I guess the stories, the mythology, the tales, this thing with Sabrina, everything is so obvious, and it's getting to the point where they can no longer, like, they can't help themselves but to say the quiet part out loud. I've been saying it all along. I don't care what you're looking at. I do not care what the headline is. The issue of the day is the issue that has remained consistently. It is power personified in the hands of female human beings. It is the scariest thing. It is the most terrifying thing. And so these clampdowns, even, there is one more thing I want to say. I might say, damn, because the thing that's hot on everybody's lips today and yesterday and for the last week is the government shutdown and the impact on food stamp benefits and WIC benefits. Y'all, hold on. It is not, the government just trying to figure things out, while Trump is doing what he do. Because they simplify the shit, because they telling you stories about his feeble-mindedness and all of this kind of stuff. Let me just tell you. Let me just show you. And what I might do is close this out and talk about this specifically by itself tomorrow. But man, damn, what did I do with my little list? Oh, here it is. Notes for today. Okay. And if y'all want, I can send y'all. I sent myself a list for my notes for today. So if you want the list, I can email it to you. But listen, I found two websites yesterday, and was to talk to you about shock and awe campaigns as a military tactic, as a military strategy. I've been talking to y'all about it off and on throughout the year about Trump last year when he got elected was saying, y'all think this has been crazy. Wait until January when I take the White House. It's going to be a campaign of shock and awe. It's going to be a campaign of shock and awe. It's going to be a campaign of shock and awe, right? Kept saying that over and over and over again. So I was like, okay, well, let me do a search on the history of shock and awe as a military tactic, right? One thing I found about shock and awe was actually in mythology. It's on a website called TV Tropes. I was doing my little Cassandra search about TV tropes because I was going to be looking up like what they call it, Cassandra syndrome, and it was on TV tropes. But then it sent me to another page called shock and awe as a TV trope. Guess what the TV trope associated with shock and awe is? Any hero who has the power of lightning. Any hero, any quote protagonist or antagonist for that matter, that has the power of lightning. This is a metaphor for the power of shock and awe. Do you hear what I just said? But I say that they use these archetypes in your face because they know that they have a real life emotional impact on you. This this is the use of lightning, huge electrical discharges and stuff resembling them as a weapon to fry things with. This is one of the most common elemental powers and is a part of the basic fire, ice, and lightning trio. It's one of the handiest ones used for anything and everything that the writer can think of. Da, 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 da. For this, for for why this doesn't work in real life. Blah 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 blah. Hold on. Didn't it say wielders of this power set have an odd tendency. Listen, y'all. Wielders of this power have an odd tendency. Now, this is talking about tropes in film and in like story. But they literally say shock and awe is this power. Wielders of this power have an odd tendency to be hyperactive, insane, nerdy, have blonde hair, or be African American or some combination of the above. Now, let me just say, totally unrelated, and it came through my cipher today. I was studying something totally unrelated about the history of Jewish rebellion during the Holocaust, and then fast forward why all of the Israeli people in high positions are required by law to change their name once they take power. And this girl was talking about all the names of like the past prime ministers and high ranking officers and what their original name was. And one of them had the last name Barack, spelled just like yo Negro Barack. And do you know what the Hebrew meaning of the name, which is also in the Old Testament of the Bible, do you know what the etymology or the Hebrew meaning of the name Barack means? Like light. I'm reading about shock and awe as a military campaign. And then I go to this little thing about shock and awe as a metaphor for lightning and the power of lightning, or electrokinesis as a metaphor for the power of shock and awe. And this nigga name means like lightning in Hebrew. I said, what the fuck? It goes on. And then this say that in all of these tropish movies, tends to be odd, hyperactive, insane, nerdy, have blonde hair, or be African American. I said, what the fuck? Right? Then, um, uh, da, 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 da. Listen, let me tell y'all. Then it goes on to say, others make it an actual fifth entity with one element due to divine associations. Lightning has had historically, in this context, lightning be conflated with light. Abilities often include blinded by the light. Haven't I been saying that for months now? Blinded by the light and riding the lightning. Someone with this power may be a technopath, fast as lightning, a god of thunder and lightning. Da, 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 da. It goes on, but anyway, so that had happened, as I was reading about the true names of these Israeli, high ranking officials, Barack came up is one like lightning, right? And then um, uh, yeah, what else? There was something else about that. Oh, wait. It was oh yeah, I got it. It was mm, yeah, I'm just gonna give y'all the quick and dirty version. But there was this concept. I'm gonna do this tomorrow, but there's this concept because they freaking out. This concept that I had never heard of until today, when I was doing this shock and awe dive. Then I went to Wikipedia to find out about the political uses, the historical political uses of shock and awe. And within the context of the political historical uses of shock and awe as a military campaign or a military strategy, this idea came up called um, democide. 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 And essentially, democide refers to the intentional killing of an unarmed or disarmed person by government agents acting in their authoritative capacity and pursuant to the government policy or high command. The term, first coined by Holocaust historians and statistics expert R.J. Rummel in his book Death by Government, has been described by renowned Holocaust historian Yehuda Bauer as a better term than genocide to refer to certain types of mass killing. According to Rummel, this definition covers a wide range of deaths, including forced labor, concentration camp victims, extrajudicial summary killings, and mass deaths due to government acts of criminal omission and neglect, such as in the deliberate famines, like in Holodomor, as well as the killings by de facto governments, for example, killings during the Civil War. During the Civil War. This this definition covers any murder of any number of persons by any government. Hold on. Rummel created the term democide as an extended term to include forms of government murder not covered by genocide. According to Rummel, democide surpassed war as the leading cause of non-natural death in the 20th century. And in it, these are some of the breakdowns in the way, quote, Demis. Stop jumping the gun. You always do that, Yolanda. Damn. Like, can I finish? Stop jumping the gun. um, he includes some of the ways that it is broken down, right? So he has politicide. He has shoot. Now I can email these out to y'all. Hold on. Now, of course, some of his shit is flawed, but it was a better explanation. Estimates, is it application? No. Hold on. Let's see. Shoot, I can barely see. Historical context. I think this is it. Nope, that's not it. there's one in particular. All right. So, okay, these are some of the breakdowns of what contributes to, quote, democide. Genocide denial as a form of democide. The attempt to deny or minimize the scale and severity of an instance of genocide. Denial is an integral part of genocide. Da 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 da. Okay. Yeah, I might have to do this tomorrow so I can move through it without. What did he say? Prominent denials by government. Hey man, hold on. All right, I'm gonna just list them. Genocide denial. But there is one that where is it? Gender sides. What do you war on property? War on property. Cultural side, culturicide, iconoclasm, classicide. Yeah, I'm gonna pull these notes together for this for tomorrow. It's 1:30, and my cats are cutting the clown. But I'm gonna list these. These are all part of democide, politicide, population cleansing, shock and awe campaigns, pogrom, lynching, extrajudicial killing, hate media. And what they had to say about hate media, whoa, just whoa. Social cleansing, incitement to genocide. That's what your president is doing. That's what your president is doing. That's what your president, under the leadership of this government, is doing. He's the fall guy scapegoat, but it is your whole government participating in the incitement to genocide. Mass killing, alternate history. That's what we're witnessing in real time. Like the scrubbing of federal websites, the removing of cases, like Supreme Court cases, like the disappearing of history off the internet, the book bans. This is alternate history. Child, euphemism. I'm not lying. The use of euphemism as a form of democide, death by government. I was shooketh. Okay? And then there was another one that talked about how the articles on genocide, the articles of genocide talk in depth about and war crimes. Hold on, where did I see that at? Is it this one? Euphemism. Yeah, man. Euphemism in ancient Greece meant to keep a holy silence, meaning speaking well by not speaking at all. Right? The purpose of euphemism in this context Number one, avoidance. Reasons for using euphemisms vary by context and intent. Commonly, euphemisms are used to avoid directly addressing subjects that might be deemed negative and very uncomfortable, such as death, sex, and excretory bodily fluids. They may be created for innocent, well-intentioned purposes or nefariously and cynically intentionally to deceive, confuse, or deny. Euphemisms which emerge as dominant social euphemisms are created to serve progressive causes. Oxford University Press Dictionary of Euphemisms identifies late as occasionally ambiguous term whose nature as a euphemism for the dead and an adjective meaning overdue can cause confusion in listeners. Whatever. Mitigation, rhetoric, controversial uses. I'm gonna go through this tomorrow so I can give it to you blood raw and without the disruptions. Yes, Miss Chris 848. I was up in here because when they talked about democide and genocide, what the not Trump, what the entire government that is quote on lockdown has done. Because let me just talk to you about your government. Do you know right now that in your Congress, there are sitting in your Congress right now acting like their hands are tied because Trump is doing all of this by himself and none of us have any interest in this. Like, it's just Trump's doing. 332 members of the sitting Congress members right now are worth more than $1 million. 332 millionaires sitting in Congress right now. That ain't all, because even those ones that ain't millionaires, a majority of them are still worth more than $700,000. 332 members of the Congress, the sitting Congress right now, 332 are millionaires, with the lowest millionaire number being 1.1 million and the highest being $664 million. That's your Congress. I'm gonna do all of that tomorrow because I need to tell y'all about who y'all think is up in here representing y'all. There's 100 senators right now. There's 100 senators at the White House, in the White House, right? There's 100 senators, and more than half of them are millionaires. Several of them are billionaires. Yo, 100 senators for the United States. More than half of them are millionaires. Yo, senators. Not only are more than half of them yo senators, the Jewish population supposedly is 2% of the total population of the United States, which I question. But say that's accurate. They're only 2% of the population. Of the 100 senators of the United States of America, 38 of them are Jewish. 38 of the 100 are Jewish, but they only 2% of the population. $38. And so here you have all these millionaires sitting in office. They can afford a government shutdown. Why? Because they're millionaires. They're millionaires. And the problem is that the figurehead of this institution is, and not only that, while they telling you they ain't got enough They ain't got enough. They can't do nothing about people food stamps. First of all, what just happened this week with y'all food stamps? According to the Geneva Convention, is an act of war. I'm telling you verbatim. What just happened, what has just been declared by this billionaire and all of these people you swear represent your interest sitting up in office, I'm telling you, according to the Geneva Convention today, this was a declaration of war on American citizens. That's what happened. It was a declaration of war. It was seen as it is considered a war crime. What just happened? And it's so interesting how deluded we are, how confused we are when we see something happening different than what we see happening in other places, because we still have this thing in our brain that teaches us that this is a free and democratic society where people have a right to vote and every vote counts and all of that shit. But they literally just told you that they don't give a damn if the most vulnerable in this society die from starvation. We would be clear about what just happened. We would be clear about what just happened if it happened anywhere overseas. Damn, that's crazy what they did to their own people. Instead, I'm seeing white person after white person after white person talking about, well, I'm glad they shut down food stamps. These people need to get a job for a living. Excuse you? That, I'm telling you, to close down people's ability to get food. It was a whole bunch of things, but food was the big one. Is considered an act of war, a crime against humanity by the globally accepted crimes punishable as genocide. That just happened. But because in your mind, you still see the face of, quote, the recipients of food stamp is black single mothers, you would accept genocide. Because in your mind's eye, even though the statistics don't support it, don't support what you got going on in your brain, in your mind's eye, you think you are passively participating in the punishment of these black single baby mama welfare queens. So you would complicitly participate in genocide, despite the fact that the actual numbers are a third of SNAP benefits. A third, 34% of SNAP beneficiaries are white people, white rural people from the South primarily. And so you would see even white people starve and be like, damn, that's real fucked up. But I'm so glad these black people ain't getting no stamps, no food stamps, and no WIC. WIC? WIC. For those that don't know, WIC is to feed children, babies, to give babies enough of what they need, and mothers who might be nursing babies or pregnant with babies. For the same party that's like, we're pro-life to the end. We're pro-life to the end. Save the babies. Even if it's terrible save the babies, while you just shut down WIC and food stamps. Understand? Yeah. So, yeah. Even this, man. This thing was so deep because I'm telling you, when I say it's in your face, rhetoric as a tool of what's this thing called? Democide. I'm telling you, euphemisms as a tool of democide. Y'all, I was up in here in a whole place, in a whole way. Mitigation, rhetoric, controversial use. That's what I'm always talking about. It's this shit right here. This euphemisms is what I am always talking about. I thought it was just, I kept saying though, what did I keep saying? I said, have me tell it, if you go back far enough into any of these bullshit ass labels you superimpose on yourself from outside in, is probably the state behind it, and here it is. They tell it to you right here. That bullshitting ass anti-blackness, colorism, featureism. Right here it says euphemisms used to mitigate the severity of the crimes upon a certain group. To mitigate the severity. Used as a rhetorical strategy in which case the goal is to change the valent description. Using euphemism can in itself be controversial. In the following examples: affirmative action being for minorities or historically disadvantaged, usually in employment or academic admission. This term is sometimes said to be a euphemism for reverse discrimination. Enhanced interrogation is a euphemism for torture. Listen. Enhanced interrogation is a euphemism for torture. For example, columnist David Brooks called the use of this term for practices at Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo Bay and elsewhere an effort to dull the moral sensibilities. Do you hear what I just said? To not call a thing, but to call it something that sounds a little less offensive. Like, I don't know. I'm not really comfortable with the word torture. Can you find a better way to say that? I mean, he said, David Brooks called this term enhanced interrogation as a euphemism for torture. He said he called the use of this term for practices at Abu Ghraib, Guantanamo Bay, and elsewhere an effort to dull the moral sensibility. The online euphemisms. The euphemism online is known as algo speak when used to evade automated online moderation techniques used on meta intoxicants. Algo speak has been used in debate. About the Israeli-Palestine conflict. So deep. So deep. Anyway, let me go. Yep. Let me go. So much that I want to talk to you about, but I don't even know where to begin. Because I've been having some deeply monstrous moments. I feel like I need to divide the work up. Divide the work up and split it amongst you all, and then we come back to the circle and see what we figured out. Because this is so deep. So deep. All right, I'm gonna go. This was harder than it should have been, considering my technology was not being kind. So I will see you guys tomorrow sometime. And say a prayer for me. I need a big one. I need a big collective, bountiful, all witches on deck prayer for my life. Okay. So y'all say a prayer for my life. May it be so. May it be so now, swiftly. All of that jam. Just like big me up in your prayers for your next 48 hours. And I will do the same in return. Yolanda, thank you for hanging with me. You was the only one making comments. Looked like everybody was good at the beginning, but I know I'll be up on here late and shit. But oh my gosh, yeah. I'll be back on here tomorrow in a more timely fashion, probably around 6 o'clock, maybe even earlier. I might even do a morning joint and just get it out the way. But yeah, be looking out. And in the meantime, I love you guys, and may the mother's ever protective and watchful eye cover your life and shield you from your fucking enemies. Yes, while drawing only to you that which your heart desires. Oh, okay, I see you. Shit. Africa raised me. Who else upon here? Claudia Ankara. Okay, I see you still up in the room. It's 4848. Yep. Okay. All right. Good night, my friends. Sleep well. Sweet dreams. See y'all tomorrow. Peace.